Warning. Pro-Tri News is a podcast with different opinions, knowledge, and possibly fake news about triathlon racing. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and some stories may be dramatized for comedic effect. Enjoy.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Pro-Tri News. I'm your host, Kyle Glass. Sorry we went dark last week. We had an emergency trip to Paris and had to stop by the Louvre, and then now we're back with another podcast. Hey guys, how we doing?
I wouldn't say we were dark. I think we were just. Oh, did we even miss a week of podcasting?
No, we didn't.
No. I was like, wait, what?
Right, can we get on to our special guest of the show?
Yes.
For the first time on a podcast in maybe ever, Lionel Sanders is joining us. Oh no,
And
he's not on the show. Kyle, just leave it in the headline. We'll get loads of clicks. Just leave it in the title.
well, what about Christian Blumenfeld's going to tell us what he thinks about the T100 stuff too?
We're excited for that as well. That'll be later in the show.
Yeah, it'll be at the very, very, very end, the last 10 seconds of the show.
Right. Pat, you've got to tell the people what you've got yourself for your birthday as a grown man.
Yep. So it's my birthday this week, and I told Gwen. Gwen goes, "What do you want for your birthday, Pat?" And I said, "I'm going to buy myself a dirt jumper to ride at the bike park with Stanley." And she goes, "How much is a dirt jumper?" And I said, "Well, it's $2,000." And she paused, and she goes,
"That means 5."
She goes, "Pat, I don't approve of any of this on any level, but I am just happy you told me. So do with that what you will. Thank you."
Brilliant. But seriously, how much was it actually?
It was $2,000. It was $2,000.
Okay.
Times 2.
No, it was $2,000. For a bunch of years, I wanted one. Stanley's gotten into dirt jumping, taking the boys there. I want one for myself. So
Pat bought
Brilliant.
himself a dirt jumper. I'm buying myself a Rolex for my birthday. It's the same thing. Same.
Are you actually?
Why not?
Well, this is the thing. I think the amount of time people think that this is your only job, they don't realise that
Kyle
is
people
actually
are shocked when they find out. They're shocked.
Kyle is actually a very successful salesman, and when he gets some of his commissions in, he does love to tell us, and we are all quite jealous of how well Kyle does actually earn. He does have a real job, people, is what I'm getting at.
If I could give you any advice, Kyle, one of the best purchases I've ever made was on Alibaba. I bought a fake Gucci strap for I think it was $12.
That's what I plan on doing.
And I put it on my camera. And do you know how many people have complimented my 50? I mean, I've had more compliments on that than anything in my entire life. So just buy a fake Rolex. No one cares. It's just a status thing.
All right, Talbot, though, what would Pat say Kyle should do with his recent paycheck?
Oh, he would not allow to buy that. He would have to put it all towards his mortgage.
You've got to pay off the mortgage. That's what Pat tells us three, like we're children.
Pat's answer for everything. Pat's
Pay
answer
off the
for
mortgage.
everything is like, pay off the mortgage. Hey,
So-
that Ironman Pro Series check from last year, Mark, pay off the mortgage.
Pay off the mortgage. Pay off the mortgage.
Yeah.
So
Right. We had some racing this weekend.
Yeah, the T100 race, the WTCS race, the grand final. We can kick off first with Lizzie Rayner defended her title at 70.3 Portugal. Huge shout out to her. And then it was the comeback race for Kate Caron, and she finished second place. So shout out to them for finishing that. Was that a silver tier race? But
yeah, and Kate Caron had a real nasty crash. So fair play. Good to see her back.
And notched qualifications for next year for 70.3 Worlds in Nice. So huge results for them. The other race that happened this weekend, I would say the big one, would be the grand final down in Wollongong. There was a WTCS race, a junior race, a U23 race, and a T100 race that was moved from Vegas to Wollongong. So kind of dominating fashion. Kate Woff won by like 6 minutes over Ash Gentle, and then Sarah Perez-Sala rounded out the podium in third place. And then Ellie Salthouse just missing out on that podium slot, and then Hannah DeVette fifth. So
there was some drama in that race, wasn't there? It was pretty much what we expected, though. Kate Woff swam at the front and just sort of rode away from them, and everyone just got dropped. And then Ash just hasn't found her bike legs this year, and the gap was too big to cover. Sarah Perez-Sala ran well for her to finish it off. She rode really well. We'll come on to her a bit because I want to do a shout out. I really enjoyed watching Ellie Salthouse point at Natalie Vancouverin to suggest she was drafting. After some of the stuff we've seen over the last 3 years, I thought there's quite a pot kettle black moment, but okay. And then Natalie Vancouverin got herself a penalty for it. There was some drama there. No love lofts, I don't think.
That was amazing. It was so good for the broadcast too. There is definitely a rivalry between them two. Two Australian girls. I told T100, I messaged one of the guys there. I was like, "Oh, if you want to see a viral moment, you should make sure you got both of them on camera around the finish line when they both cross, and Natalie figures out that she pointed at her, because it will be an entertaining moment." So hopefully we see something.
But Kate again, really dominant result, and actually in the overall standings pushes her up to third in the PTO rankings, which with 2 T100 wins under her belt and some seconds, like no surprising.
And she's leading the T100 series.
Yeah. Do we think she'll go back to short course for the Olympics?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think it's a toss-up. I think we'll maybe get to that later when we cover our show with the news that T100 launched last week. And so maybe we'll put a pin in that until then.
And then the men's race.
Yeah,
the Wild.
Yeah,
again.
Mika Newt in second, and then Yuri Kulin. I mean, but look, I mean, pretty tight gap for the podium. They were all within 65 seconds. So I'd have to go back and check, but one of the smallest winning margins that Hayden's had in recent races.
I just don't know what you can take from it though, because he just looks so chill crossing the line.
He was joking around with the camera. He's talking about having wine with Belinda. Like, they wasn't serious.
We've obviously had beef with him this year over some other stuff, but he is incredibly good at triathlon, to be honest. The guy can win Super League races easily. He wins, we're only waiting to see him step up to the Ironman. He's not had a massive 70.3 result on a big circuit, but that's just coming. If he was on the start line in Marbella, we would all be saying Hayden Wild's the favourite, I think, or we would argue between him and Gustav. Yeah. His running is just too good for them. He had the fastest bike of the day to close the gap.
Do you guys think that there's an asterisk for 70.3 Worlds this year since he's not racing? Or nah?
No.
What for?
What is there an asterisk for this race because KB's not doing it?
I mean, that's the other side of the argument, right? It's like the Norwegians haven't done any of the T100 races, and all the other medias or the broadcast team and things like that, they're all like, oh, well, he's not racing 70.3 Worlds. Like, is there an asterisk because he's not racing 70.3 Worlds, or is it Hayden just didn't qualify for 70.3 Worlds? Unfortunately, he's not racing.
I don't understand why there would be an asterisk. He was in phenomenal shape last year and hands down got beat. He didn't even win the race last year.
I do know what they mean in that would we like to see him there because he is clearly on form over this rough distance. Could I see him winning that? Yeah, absolutely. Of course he could win 70.3 Worlds. Like, it's a shame he's not racing. But at the same time, it's a shame that KB's not racing the T100. Like, that's the problem with the T100 and 70.3 being so similar. And that's the nice thing about Kona and Nice, is that everyone that can win that race turns up to that race because it's worth doing.
Yeah, fair. So I want to give a shout out to Menno Koolhaas. This is his fourth place finish after battling some injuries earlier in the year. So huge shout out to him for that.
Yeah, let's not miss Yuri Kulin for third though. Like that was a much better performance from him. And for a while he was hanging with the bike group at the front. He lost a bit of time in the second half of the bike, which cost him probably second place. But that was a really good result from him. He was only 30 seconds back off Mika Newt. And Jason West had the fastest run of the day again, but only took him up to 9th. I mean, the bike is what's just killing him at the moment. He outrun Hayden Wild by a minute and a half, but still he's in 9th.
I'd say biggest loser on the day was Morgan Pearson for choosing to go have a mediocre performance in the short course race versus actually potentially his first podium at a T100 event in this race.
Yeah, This could have been a T100 podium for Morgan. It's tough to say that he made the wrong decision, given that there's a lot on the line. From a funding standpoint, typically, from USA Triathlon, and so I think, if he gets a breakthrough there, it does also support that result quite a bit. So, there would have been a little bit more behind that decision making than just like, do I want to do well at the grand final in Wollongong for short course, or do I want to do this one-off T100 race and try and podium? So
Yeah, fair.
I agree with Carl at the start there. The biggest race of the weekend was the grand final. It wasn't the T100 in Wollongong. It was the grand final of the WTCS series. And in the women's side, there was high drama. Carl, do you know how the points sort of played out? Because no one was expecting Lisa Tersch to overcome that margin. And the way she did it was just
I forgot that she even had a chance to win the series still.
yeah, I mean, I think the reality is there needed to be like a bunch of catastrophic events to happen for her to become world champion. And that all became available the moment that Cassandra DNF'd on the run, right? All of a sudden. And then it should have been really at that point, then like a walk-in for Beth Potter to become world champion. And then she didn't have the results she wanted. And then that's ultimately, and then there was, Lisa came up for the win, and then there were bodies in between back to Beth Potter.
And I mean, 15 bodies or 14 in between them. Beth Potter was 16 with a 36:10 run. You know, she ran 2 minutes 10 seconds slower than Lisa Tersch.
Yeah,
we said this when we were all sat around the Canyon House. We said, if you're going to watch any race of the year, short course race of the year, watch this because there is always drama. And yet again, it delivered. Like people seem to really struggle to execute this grand final after a long season.
Yeah, and then
it's exciting.
And then on the men's side, we had almost the exact opposite, right? Where Matt Hauser completely delivered from the start of the race, right? So you had a once in a lifetime opportunity, really, for a guy like Matt to win a grand final on home soil with all the pressure. And I would say that he delivered in absolute masterclass form.
Did you see his swim start?
Yeah, it was incredible.
Oh,
That's
my
so
God.
cool.
It was so good.
Cool.
The sprint, the dive, the speed he gets out, body length within 3 strokes. It was a masterclass from Matt Hauser, and it's really nice to watch someone that has been this good this all year deliver on home soil. I really enjoyed seeing that result.
Who do you think was more excited about the weekend? The Australian people watching Matt Hauser win, or the World Triathlon president watching Lisa Tersch win?
You know, there was more Australian people, at least, right?
That is true.
So from a numbers standpoint, it had to be the Australian people.
That is fair. That is fair.
Going with a hard no comment. To round out the rest of the podium from Matt Hauser, moving on from that absolute bombshell. David Del Campo from Spain was in second. Slight surprise there, ahead of Alessio Corciani, which is an Italian athlete. He's had a really good season as well, to be fair. He was starting number 16th, so it's still a bit of a surprise result. Miguel Hidalgo started in Bib 2, having had a brilliant season, but only managed to run it in 4th. And Vasco Velarco in 5th. Again, those two were a lock-in for 2nd and 3rd, and they got royally beat, to be honest.
I got to eat a little crow real quick. Last year, before the Olympics, Italy, the Italian Federation made a decision and put Alessio Crociani into the games instead of, I can't remember even the name of the athlete at this point. But anyways, now this kid who got experience racing at the Olympics, he didn't do very well, got 30th place, first Olympics. But then to finish 3rd place at Wollongong, and then he finished 6th at Karlovy Vary last month. I feel like they've made the right decision here with putting him into the Olympics in the end.
In hindsight, at the time, the math wasn't mathing.
Yeah, at that time we were like, wait, why are they doing that? But
I think we called outright corruption as well, rather than what they're doing. I think we said this is outright corruption, which is really unusual for Italy. But
man, we're just hitting all the corruption stuff today. Here we go.
I want to close this out and just give probably one I have to say bright spot in short course racing that came out of this weekend, because this is when they do Congress, this is when they kind of really talk about what the season moving forward is going to look like. Next year, they already have the calendar. There's 10 World Series races. Have not seen that ever in a bunch of great places. So I think that's there's a bunch of new stops on the calendar. There's one in Uzbekistan. There's one in Quiberon in France. So I think that's a real exciting piece. And then they've already got, I think it's 16 World Cups as well. And so while we can sometimes be curious about what's going on in the short course space, it's pretty clear that they've got some stuff going on together, because to see 10 World Series races is incredible.
Yeah, and of course we get to the point where will they all happen? We've seen ambitious calendars like this before in recent years, and 10 is a lot, but World Triathlon have a good history of delivering their big events, less so their small events. You know, we see Conti Cups and stuff get slashed, but the big events tend to go through. I just want to do a number. I just want to do a quick round on potentially a bit of good news for GB, we've always had great women, though they've not been so good in the last couple of years, but maybe they've been doing other stuff. But we had in the under 23 men's, GB got a win with Oliver Conway. For a long time, it's been the Brownlee brothers, then Alex Yee coming into the sport late. So we got an under 23 win. And then in the junior men, we got second with Alex Robin. So maybe GB have a relay team on the horizon for LA that is not dependent on like a domestique male just getting a slot. Though Sam Dickinson has, since he's moved to middle distance and at the Olympics, has been great. I think that's a real promise for GB Triathlon, because they will still have Beth Potter. Presumably Kate Wolf comes back to it. You throw in a couple of young lads and Alex Yee, we might be in with a decent shot again finally.
And that's talking about Connor Bentley's phenomenal performance.
In the under 23s.
Yeah.
Oliver Conway won.
But I mean, even also, Mark, like Jessica Fulgar, like she could get a third slot for the women in GB because she got 5th this weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, and
she's
that
been
is
smashing the Super Tri series the last couple of years.
I mean, it's an absolute step up for her, that, because we haven't really seen good 10Ks out of her necessarily. We've seen Super Tri stuff, but yeah, it's positive for GB. Yeah. So I'm going to put us down for definitely going to win gold in LA. Definitely.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit, Pat, about Congress. Did you see that only 6 nations voted to open an independent investigation into the corruption scandal that we've been talking about?
Yeah, I did. Look, I think the problem is CAS has already ruled on this, right?
Yeah.
And it's effectively, they said it's slap on the wrist. They said there was wrongdoing, but there's no punishment for it, right? And so I think that they're going to try and they're not going to try. They are trying to sweep this as fast as possible under the rug. And it got brought back up. It would have got brought back up during Congress. And I think that they will continue to try and do their best to ignore it, right? With the rigged election that allowed Antonio to become the president of World Triathlon. So,
Pat, just to pause you real quick. I know you like to spend a lot of times explaining things. If a new listener just heard what you said, they wouldn't know if you were talking about World Triathlon or U.S. politics. So can you real quick give a brief summary on what exactly you're talking about?
Yeah. So last year, there was an election to nominate a new president for World Triathlon, right? That election was rigged. CAS, the Court of Arbitration of Sport, deemed it as a rigged election. However, there is no punishment for a rigged election. And so it effectively is just a slap on the wrist, right? And the higher ups at World Triathlon know this, and they've gotten away with it, right? Now, my hope is that it's put a spotlight on them, and the next thing that they try and do that is illegal, there will be a little bit more accountability attached to it. So people are watching. They are going to be very aware if they slip up again, and I personally would hold them to much higher standards. This has become, a messy thing, because now there's a whole other organization attached to World Triathlon, which is the T100, and so they get sucked into a lot of the misbehavings that World Triathlon has done as well. And so I actually think that the T100 will try and hold them a bit more accountable here for these actions that become much more public, and then the T100 can't differentiate. We'll use I don't mean to bring it up again, but we'll use the Hayden Wild shoe example. T100 were made to look like fools in this because World Triathlon didn't do their job and enforce the shoe rules on the field of play beforehand, right? But everyone then says it's T100's fault. That was not T100's fault. They pay a huge sanctioning fee to World Triathlon to produce and conduct their rules on the field of play. And World Triathlon simply did not do that, right? And so you have to understand that these are two independent organizations, but there's an immense amount of overlap, and it's hard for Joe and Sue Public to separate those all the time. So did I do a good enough job explaining that?
Yeah, but just to simplify a bit more, the Congress thing. So Bill Clinton was definitely on the island, but Congress don't want to release the files, and World Triathlon are not going to do an investigation. Was that that was where we're at?
No, rigged election.
Oh, sorry. Got it. I just heard Congress rigging.
No
I didn't
kings, Mark. No kings.
Oh,
we want no kings in triathlon.
Got it. Right. Got it. Moving on. Yes, Pat. Sorry, your description was absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
and it is good. It's a bit farcical, isn't it? Like if you don't do anything about the rigged election that Cass says is rigged, and yet the bloke that helped rig the election is still in charge, what possible hope do we have that any other rules get enforced?
Moving on to T100. The news that came out this week was that next season they ... will not have contracts next year.
Yeah.
Good? Bad?
I mean,
Great.
Well, we called it.
Phenomenal.
Can I pause? The listeners are going to have to hear this. Let's talk about what they got right first.
Yeah.
Right. So on Friday, they dropped the T100 dropped all new, a whole new system for moving forward and how they're going to do the races, how the athletes are going to be paid. Let's cover what they got right first. Mark, just because you're in it, let's do the real simple one first, right? Prize money on race day went up.
Yes, but in a very clever way that the overall pot goes down.
Yes. So let's
because they basically got 5 men's, 5 women's races. So they're saving money whilst paying out more for individual races. So essentially what they've actually done is 2 things that we suggest. I'm sure obviously we don't impact with their decision making. They've actually made the calendar much smaller by separating men and women's races. So there are less races and there's more prize money on the day and there's no contracts.
Yep. And I want to provide a little bit of context for that. So last year, as an agent, I was negotiating with the T100. It's not, I mean, it wasn't really even a negotiation. You're just trying to we're brainstorming almost, right? And they originally wanted,
because all your athletes are assholes and made your job real hard.
Well, no, it's just they wanted to do 5+1, right? They had to do you had to do 5 races plus the grand final to get a contract. And I was like, look, the reality is like everybody wants to do 3+1, right? They want to go back to the way it was, where there's 3 big races. Now you can add a grand final. That's where they're going to end up. They acquiesced and they go, okay, we'll do 4+1. That was the big concession last year. Now they've a very hard time getting that to even see that through. And then when you spread it across 9 races this year, you still struggle to tell that season-long narrative. This year now they've brought it down. So the men, there's 10 races total on the calendar as of today. The men will do 5 races. The women will do 5 races. The only time they're at the same venue is for the grand final. So I think for me, what this does is it's great because it does bring it to a 3+1, but we're going to get to the problem with separating the 2 fields here when we talk about maybe the shortcomings of this. So let's stay on the positive vibes for a second. What else are we excited to see here in this announcement?
I'm really excited to see them get rid of the contracts. I think that this makes it to where you have the likes of, if they're in that region while a race is going on and they're running hot, you get the likes of a Sam Laidlow, of an exciting Lionel Sanders, of an exciting Norwegian. It makes it to where, I mean, given granted, any of those athletes could jump into a race anytime they wanted in the first place, but at least you're not athletes aren't showing up half-assed performing just to check off their contract. I think that
There
you're going
were-
to see the highest caliber.
And I think without the contracts, you might find athletes. I honestly believe some athletes have not been doing races because of slight stubbornness. So they wouldn't take a contract. So then they were sort of semi-banned, but they could maybe get in if they just took a wild card, but they would have to go asking for it. But T100 made it difficult for them. Like Christian and that negotiated contracts. It wasn't enough money. So then they feel a bit stubborn about not doing a race. And the same would apply for maybe hypothetically Kat, Laura, Laidlow, Magnus, etc. Whereas now there's no contracts. There's none of that resentment like about, you made this really difficult for me. I could just turn up. It's interesting about when they can step in. And Kat was explaining this to me the other day, so I'm going to look across the room and see if I got this right. The top 10 in this series this year get starts in the first race. And then I think it's 5 from the contender series and 5 wildcards in the first race. And then after that, it's the top 10 from the previous race, i.e. in the rankings, and then 10 from the PTO world rankings, basically. So the contender thing goes. That's not so important. And so the world rankings become more relevant again. So the reality is that will roll down further, right? Because not all 10 will take it on the first race, not all this. So, but your world ranking is what will get you in the door, which I like.
And are they going to use the world ranking system that was used pre-2025, where it was?
Yeah.
So
So it's more
it's
fair,
the one,
and it's not T100 centric.
No, it's the current. If you go on the T100 website, the Pro Triathlon, whatever it is, website, the world ranking is still there. Not the contender series one. I've never even looked at that. Don't know where that exists. Taylor Nibb's number 1, Kat's number 2. That one,
Yep.
that as far as my understanding, because it makes more sense. They're trying to draw other athletes in. It's not T100, but the T100 races are weighted really well. But we can't say it's T100 focused like we did, because number 1 and 2 is Kat and Taylor in the women. They haven't done a single T100 race. Well, Taylor's done a couple, but her best results are Ironman and a 70.3. Like, it does draw other athletes in.
So that so what we're going to say, the world ranking that they're pulling that from is fairly weighted. Could we say that? Like, or we're happy? It's reasonably weighted. We're happy with how it's
I'd say
weighted.
it's still pretty weighted. There's only 3 people that haven't done a T100 race this season that are ranked in the top 20 on the women's side and 4 on the men's side. So it's still pretty heavily weighted to T100.
I would say that's fine, because there are only 2 races in the year that match that kind of caliber of athlete you're going up against. Maybe Roth, maybe 3. There's 70.3 worlds, which we haven't had yet. That might push some people up. And then there's the Ironman World Champs, maybe Roth. All the other races are Mickey Mouse compared to the T100 races in terms of the people you're on the start line with. So I think it's pretty fair.
I think we're losing some of our listeners here. Let's circle it back. No more contracts. Prize money's going up for the event itself, for the single gender event. You could argue it back and forth. They're listening to feedback from the athletes. 8 to 10 times racing is too much. So they've listened to athlete feedback. Ranking-based qualification makes it cleaner for athletes to get in. There's a very solid pipeline. And they're keeping their solid athlete support at every event. So I think those are the positives of it.
And they will
Free hotels.
Well, yeah. So the nice, like we I mean, the PTO behind the scenes call us cockroaches, apparently, which is super lovely. Even though we're sat on 2 bits of huge news that we're very graciously not breaking for them, but whatever. What we will say is, what you get when you go to these events is really good hosting, execution of the event. You're looked after as a pro athlete. There's mechanics there. There's hotels. There's everything. There's course recce's on buses. There's the whole 9 yards. So that does draw an athlete. Like, we would like to go to a T100 race, because for a pro, they're super fun to go to. Now the prize money's better. I think you'll see better fields across these races without the contracts than you did with the contracts.
To be fair, the only news we were sitting on was that they were going to go to Ironman distance racing, which we got from Jack Kelly because he was an employee of T100 at the time, but he's since been fired. So we don't know how to take like that, how accurate we could take that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this podcast might break the internet.
This is too much.
Oh, jeez.
This is too much.
Can I talk about something that I think that they should do in addition to the changes that have been made so far?
Well, this
So
is going to now. Sorry, this is going to transition us now into what they probably should have improved, or where did they get it wrong here? I guess.
So they
Before you
went-
go, sorry, as I was fumbling my way through like what the contracts were and stuff, Kat just sent me our post on Instagram that explains it all really well, from Graphics Girl, as she calls herself. So if you missed any of this, just go onto our Instagram. The post is super helpful, by the way. I wish I'd looked at it sooner.
just like the show notes, right, Mark?
That post is a million
I've
times
added
better
to
than
them.
the show notes.
The thing that I would like for them to do, they're still limiting the field sizes to 20. I think that they should still open that up to 30 to 40. I don't know about opening it all the way up to like what Ironman does with 60 plus athletes on the start list. I think maybe going to like a 35 to 40 number, similar to how the opens were back in the early days, would probably be best. And you don't even have to pay them. Guess what? You know how many Ironman athletes don't get paid? There's 60 dudes on a start list or 60
But I
women on a
like,
start list.
but it's hotels, it's stuff like that. Like they make the experience centralized, and I
They
agree
can
with
still
you at the
do
start.
that, but
Well,
don't pay. You don't have to pay them past 20th place.
Yeah, but you're giving hotel rooms, so they can barely fill. I didn't know some of the pros on the start list in Wollongong, and if we don't know them, the listeners certainly don't know them.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
give them hotel rooms, travel costs, everything to come and
Yeah.
finish 45 minutes behind.
And I'm
Nah.
assuming they're still going to provide a pretty high level of service with, like, Tony showing up to these races, wrenching on bikes, like, to keep some of that stuff under control. It should be this is an exclusive thing to get into, right? And you can earn your way in through the world rankings. And I think that that's quite reasonable. What I, it's
I still
like,
think the number's more than 20, though.
okay, sure. Maybe it's 25, but the problem is like, dude, we remember being in Dallas when it was 30 and they could not fill it. They could not fill the women's field. And so it probably is 20 or 25. I mean, what this showed, right? This past year showed, and what we'd been saying was, look, 9 races is too many. There aren't enough athletes to fill
them. Whoever's phone is blinging, just
Not-
mute that. Come on.
Not me.
Not me.
No, Pat,
me.
you're a boomer. Your phone is on silent at all times, like mine.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, I just looked at something. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I was trying to see how far behind the last place was in the women's race in Wollongong. Why did Amelia Watkinson get disqualified?
I don't know. I can pull it up real quick while y'all keep chatting.
Yeah, she's got a DQ.
This is what I would say. Triathlon is not a spreadsheet. It's a theatrical thing. Cutting your cast in half just runs the spectator views. I mean, right now, if you look at the Wollongong
Sorry, you mean the
broadcast-
men and the women, right?
Yes, I mean the men and the women. Right now, if you look at the Wollongong broadcast, it has a total, it's been online for 2 days now, total of 60,000 views. Lionel put up a vlog shot by his wife on her iPhone in Hawaii. It has 61,000 views. I mean, the difference from a athlete vlog to a multi-million-dollar broadcast, and now you're going to take that cast from the broadcast and cut it in half. Ironman's already done this. It doesn't work. I think that this is a 1-year deal. T100 will see that this was a failure. We shouldn't have done this, and we will be back to bringing everyone back together again. I don't know the reason why you would do that.
Yeah, the issue is because the genie was out of the bottle on they had to have this 9-race narrative or 10-race narrative, and they've got these venues set. And so they've realized, hey, we can't do this many races. And they've also realized, hey, we've got 20 million in funding that we've got to slow the burn rate on, right? So they're supporting 40 athletes at every race. Now that's down to 20. So they've cut the burn there. They had to have these 9 venues because they're getting paid from them. So they're giving them a race product. They're going to sort it out. But the issue is, like you said, now they've really, I think, confused the audience and ultimately the industry, right? We've seen how the industry replied to the split venues with Kona and Nice. The messaging there was crystal clear. Don't split them.
Yeah.
Now these are going to be events that are essentially on an island with no endemic support of the brands, right? Because it's just, they're like, why would we go to this race if we're only going to support half of our athletes? We're not doing it.
Yeah.
So I think this is ultimately like they're a victim of friendly fire on this, where they realized they had to make a decision, but then they've already had some stuff that was just lined up that they couldn't course correct on, and this was clearly one of them. I think, going back, getting rid of contracts, no brainer. Increasing the prize money, that will only help the big names now that will come in. And I think now that we've got some schedules, we haven't seen a T100 schedule, right?
A full schedule, no.
We've not seen a full schedule. So as soon as we get that, then there'll be some athletes that
We've seen a full schedule.
Yeah, we've seen a full schedule. The T100.
The public
again,
has not seen a full schedule.
T100 should definitely stop calling us cockroaches because I'm so close to just listing the schedule.
Yeah. So that's, I think, what's going on. What else could we have seen with this that they probably should have edited or tweaked a little bit if we would have been in there and said, hey, look, this is what you should do.
They cut the series bonus by 50%.
That's massive. I mean,
so they went from the series went from 2.4 million down to 1.2.
I would be careful throwing out numbers unless you have it 100% accurate. But it was cut.
It's 300% less than it was.
So it was 2.9 million into series bonus this year with 200,000 for the win, and then now the new one for next year, it's gone down to 1.4.
Yep.
But should we knock them for this? Because the one thing we always say is that they have been in danger of being a flash in a pan for a long time. They only paid out last year's contracts because they got an investment that they gave them the money to pay it out. Are they just now spending slightly more reasonably? Do they think they have a product now that good athletes are going to go to that they can not offer the giant money they were? And does it give them an extra year, 2 years to really try and make this work?
So look, I think the reality is based on what everybody's math is. They've got 2 years of funding left, right? With the 20 million that they got. Now they're not spending it like drunken sailors. They're trying to slow the burn down. They've now made it an entry to get into these races where I think we'll say the Big 10 or Big 14 that all opted out last year. I think you get over 50% of them that actually say, hey, one of these is going to fit. I'd like to pop in and do it.
I agree. Yeah, I think it might not give them a narrative. The money in this series isn't, super appealing to do loads of the races for really like Christians, maybe. But I do think it's sensible.
But now Christian's going to look at it and go, hey, you know what? There's a T100 in wherever. It's 50 grand to win it. I think I'm going to go do that one because it actually kind of fits. And hell, I think I can win it. I'm going to make 50 grand. Presumably all the athletes, they still all have T100 bonuses in their contracts.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's sensible. I think bringing the money down but increasing the individual race is sensible.
Was the right way.
Yeah, I agree that spreading it over the 10 by splitting the genders is a problem, the sexes, but it's there's a difference, people. Splitting the sexes. I think it's sensible all round. I'm struggling for real downsides because we accept they have to run 10 races. The downside is splitting it, but they've kind of had to make an existing commitment work. It's quite a sensible way of doing it.
It's a sensible. It's the right. It's
9 though, right? It's 4 men, 4 women, and then together.
Yes, sorry, 9. Yes.
So they have a fiduciary responsibility to their investors that they're adhering to now, right? The issue is going to be are we going to care as much when it's just the men racing in wherever, and then the next weekend it's just the women racing in wherever? Are we going to care a little less? Because I guess to defend the T100 for a second, we care quite a bit the weekend of Ironman Hamburg. We find that race quite interesting. We care quite a bit the weekend of Frankfurt.
Agree. Yeah, agree. But
So I think the biggest thing that I'm going to say now is the T100 needs to focus their marketing efforts leading in during the week and actually really hype these races up, because I think that's where this year they've completely fallen flat. I don't see any of the build-up.
I do think though that we need to be clear on, do we care? Yes, I think everyone cares, but from a media perspective, I missed multiple world championships in Nice, and I would say I'm kind of known for going to a lot of the world championships. I just never went to any of them. Like whether it was men or women, these single gender events, there was, without naming them, a major media outlet in triathlon that had to fight to go to the Women's World Championship in Kona just due to logistics. They said, we can't justify. And so also lots of sponsors say that it for us financially, it doesn't work to go to single gender events. So we've seen this time and time again. I know we're beating a dead horse. It doesn't work. And they're going to have to come back in a year or two and say, oh, we're bringing it all back together. So I don't know.
I'm inclined to agree. On a fun one for you.
Go ahead.
I'll go on. No. I was going to say, I was looking down the list to see who came last in the women's race in Wollongong. They weren't that far behind at all. And it's Rihanna Hughes out of the UK, who is Sam Dickinson's girlfriend. So they just got themselves a holiday down to Australia as a couple. He bagged a great result. She knocked out a really solid performance. T100 paid to get them down there. I mean, what more do you want?
Oh, Kyle, they need 35 women at the race. You're right.
Yeah, 100%.
Right,
yeah, 100%.
Kyle, they need 35 women, Kyle.
Let's make sure all the triathlon couples get holidays around
Amelia,
the world.
back to Amelia Watkinson. She left her water bottle in T2 and then didn't serve a 30-second penalty and got disqualified. So that's
boring.
Yeah.
The last thing too, I think that we all want to be clear on. We want T100 to be successful. Everyone, from the pro athletes, from a media perspective, we want it to be successful. It's good for the sport. This is another money option that athletes can take, another revenue. So we want to see them succeed.
I do think that is a bit like us always going, he's such a nice guy, and then we slag him off.
I want to see them succeed. I think they could do a lot. I think they could change a lot of things.
No, I
think the T100 is close. It's like we're almost there. It's close.
Agree.
Yep, they've got and guys, as we know, they've got some more exciting announcements to come.
Yeah, they do got some really exciting stuff coming.
Mark, perfect. I see you brought back Chapeau of the Week before we move on to our slew of hot takes.
Chapeau of the Week, I forgot about. This one is so easy. It goes to Sarah Perez-Sala. Did you guys see that the day or 2 days before T100 race, she guided her fellow Spanish compatriot to
That was the same day. That was the same day of the T100
Sorry.
race. That was in the morning.
Right. I honestly thought it was the day before.
Same day.
The morning of the T100 race, she guided a Spanish athlete, which means she has to push big horsepower on the bike, by the way. Like if you are the guide, you are drilling the front seat of that tandem to carry on the bike and then help and guide run a Spanish athlete to a world title in the visually impaired category. And then she goes and races T100 and bags the podium. I don't think we can even...
And they won. And they won.
Yeah, they won. They won. Yeah. They won. They won a world title. Incredible. Incredible. Sorry, I'm really bad here. Can one of you grab up the name of the visually impaired athlete that won? Because
Suzanne Rodriguez.
Give me a second.
Suzanne Rodriguez.
No, thank you, Cassandra Rodriguez. Because it's really disrespectful for me not to mention that. I didn't want to do a disrespect. Susanna Rodriguez. Right, incredible.
That is awesome.
And they
in the morning
coming out of T1. And they crashed coming out of T1. And they still won the world title. Still won the world title. And then Sarah then got on the podium at the T100 race.
Right. Chapeau of the month, year, whatever you want. Yep. Fair play, Sarah Perez-Sala.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That is amazing.
Okay. These are all listener submitted hot takes that we're going to dissect and go through the next, maybe the rest of the show. Pretty much the rest of the show. We'll see how far we get. All right. Hot take number one. We're going to just dive right on into the deep end. Skinny doesn't win the race. We saw athletes coming in that were pretty lean, maybe, going into the World Championship. We ain't going to talk about women's body image. However, this was submitted
That's exactly
by
what we're doing.
Submitted by a woman, so we'll go into it.
Can I take this? Because one of the people not skinny that they're clearly referring to is my wife. I think skinny does normally win the race. So it's a daft thing to say. It just didn't this time. So if you look back, like all the women previously have been extremely lean, and that's been a thing. I thought and Solveig won't mind us saying this, she is just a healthy, extremely lean athlete. Like if you meet these people in real life, it's like the same when people say Christian Blumenfeld's big. When you meet him in real life, he ain't. His biggest, he was never big. I think it was super pro-positive for women's sport and healthy sport in general that you had to show resilience and strength and power. Like the run course record is taken down by a girl that's 8 kilos heavier than Anne Haug, etc. It's this idea that energy systems still have to fire. And no, it didn't win the race this time. But don't be fooled into thinking they are not what normal society would call extremely lean, because they really are.
I got nothing else to add.
Is that fair?
Ready?
You nailed it.
Cool. Slow down going through aid stations. Lucy, Charles Barclay, and Taylor Nim both missed bottles going through aid stations, and look what happened to them.
No, I'm taking this. I'm taking this, and here's why. So I had somebody that I trust an immense amount call me after the race, and they said, Pat, as an outsider watching this sport who doesn't do triathlon, he goes, I think it's completely gross that it's volunteers that are responsible for giving athletes their vital feeds for this long of an event.
I'm disagreeing. I don't think I could teach Taylor Knibb to juggle in 4 years. I bet if you throw a ball at her, it just hits her in the face. Like there is an element of skill. There's like hand-eye coordination. Like she wasn't closing her hand; they were just hitting her hand. Some athletes have no problem, and if you do have a problem, slow down. That's a really harsh way of saying that. I'm sure she can. I'm sort of being facetious and joking, but like I know what you mean, Pat. But what do you have? 400 employees.
No. I guess is there a world where
They say, "Hey, Pat Lemieux, 4 o'clock in the morning, you got to go out to aid station number 3, and you're handing out bottles all day."
No, but is there a world where triathlon professionalizes this and says, "Hey, we're going to do a pro aid station, and you get a support staff at kilometer 60, and you get a support staff at kilometer 120."
I think I'll tell you what. Kat's just said to me the volunteers were so good. Loads of them moved alongside, handed bottles out, etc. I think what you could do, Pat, is what they've stopped doing, it seems like, is when you get up to Harvey, there's the turnaround, and you can shout your number, and they get your bag
when
ready.
you're going by.
But they're leaving the bottles in the bags, and some years and some volunteers will take the bottles out for you. So athletes miss that. If you shouted your number, your bottles would be held up by a trained, you would only 1 point. That would be a good compromise.
I guess where I've seen
we only take the bottles out for the Americans, Mark. And it will never go any further than that. So listen,
I just want to
get on the line here.
Sorry, I want to give 2 last examples, right? So imagine if in pro cycling bottles were handed out by volunteers, right? Let's just think about that as a way to compare it. Second to that, I've seen how pro aid bottles are done in professional marathon, and it's infinitely more professional than what happens in triathlon. And so I just think these are 2 places that we could look in and lean and go, can we professionalize this a bit more?
I know what you mean, but it is a sport that survives on mass participation, unlike cycling, where it is your own domestiques, etc., out on the road. They have cars ahead, cars behind, that sort of thing. I will say, like, for instance, the Pro Aid Station run bottles were like icy cold, and the volunteers had kept them on ice until the athletes were starting to come around and then pulling them out through it. Like, I don't think it was that bad. I do think, like, the people that miss bottles always miss bottles. You do have to, and they're at the front of the race. The 2 examples, Lucy and Taylor. Now, of course, they have impetus. They don't want to leave any seconds that they've just bled on the table. So I know what you mean. I think we could do something up around Harvey for the pro aid there. That would be a good idea.
Talbot?
I think, just to put this to bed, Ironman does a good job. They always try to place them on a hill where they're at least going at a slower rate of speed. The best thing you could do is make a 4 or 5 minute educational video that all the aid stations are required to watch ahead of the pro athletes coming. And it is what it is.
Yeah, perfect. I totally agree. That would be a great compromise between Pat and mine.
Yeah.
Next one's going to be Kona Mystique revived, and this is going to be a couple of things regarding. Oh wait, no, I didn't do this one. Nice versus Kona, men, women. Which race was better this year, last year, or in 2023? So
Kona
let's take
this
it. Let's take it year by year. This year, Kona, Nice. Which one was better?
Kona.
Talbot, Pat,
Kona.
Mark.
It's mad, isn't it? I don't know. I thought I preferred Nice because the
Okay.
high drama that made Kona exciting was just people blowing themselves to pieces, whereas Nice was just an all-out, everyone on a great day battle. So I preferred Nice.
Okay. Last year, Kona, Nice. Laura Phillip winning Nice. Patrick Lang winning Kona. Talbot,
Kona.
Pat,
Kona.
Mark.
Nice.
How?
20. Let's go 2023. Sam
It was a
Laidlaw winning.
masterclass. It was a masterclass.
Sam
Whereas
Laidlaw,
the men's race was average.
Sam Laidlaw winning Nice or Lucy Charles Barclay wire to wire Kona 2023.
This one's really tough because they both had lifetime performances. That one I've got a little bit harder time giving.
The race itself, Kona or Nice?
I mean, for me, it's a dead given. I was at Kona too, and I didn't go to Nice.
So Talbot, all across the board, Kona.
Yeah.
Patrick,
I'd say Kona.
Kona, and Mark.
Nice because they said Kona.
So you are all Nice.
It was Kona. It was Kona. Lucy Charles. That was the race of the last decade.
I would say Kona was special every single year. Nice was special every single year. But for me, I think Kona is just a special place.
Nice was my first time. If we're gonna move these, we got to better move a lot quicker than this. It was my first time to Nice this year for the World Championship. I watched it for the first time, and it was a phenomenal race. Even in Kona, I was just like, this is where the World Championship has to be. So, yeah.
All right. Next one.
I'll take this one.
Chelsea Sodaro's out of excuses.
Yeah, I'll take this one because I think Chelsea would even agree with this. I don't think she's the biggest fan of myself. I just think that athletes have tough years. Chelsea's going through one of those. I think Chelsea can totally bounce back from this. I just think it's one of those years. It's just plagued with bad luck. Another athlete that's very similar to this is Magnus Ditlev. He hasn't had the best year. He had a win earlier in the year and just was not their year. I think that Chelsea can easily bounce back from this. I think she has a massive team around her, and I think she will.
Yeah, I'll even toss my wife in there, right? Just as an example. And ultimately, like, is the athlete smiling and do they have joy in what they're doing? And that to me is like the biggest barometer of like, did they have a successful year or not? So you can look at a results sheet, but then are they actually separate from that? Are they actually having fun? Mm-hmm. I know my wife loves her job. I know Magnus loves her job. I hope Chelsea loves her job. And that's what she should be. That's how she should be making decisions, in my opinion.
Yeah, agree.
Lucy's penalty caused her to override and then eventually overheat.
No, do we really believe that?
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe not because she didn't close that much. I think she sort of stuck to the same game plan. I think they were maybe overriding anyway. I'm not sure it was the penalty that caused the override. I have a theory that
I would say overrunning before I'd say overriding for that.
Yeah, I have a theory that they watched Laura and Kat throw nukes at each other in Hamburg, run 238, 240, and decided they had to have massive. Yeah,
those girls ran scared all day long, and the best athletes on the day got to the finish line first.
Reach.
Splits are critical and should be provided by Ironman at different points of the race.
No, absolutely not, because fucking half the husbands are too lazy to get their ass out on a bike and go give splits. So don't make their lives easier.
Yeah, that's not a big one for me either.
It's true. I think they're vital, and I think supporting pro athletes on course is vital, and that's not Ironman's job. It's their team's job. Laura had 7 people on the bike pad, didn't she? There were so many.
Yeah.
Here's something you could do. I don't think Ironman would do it, but it would be pretty cool. they could easily get 2 pretty big LED boards, and they could move them to 2 bike sections right when they get on the Queen K kind of going
That
up.
would be sick. That
Okay.
And
then
it
you
would
could do
be just a
yes.
big LED board, and then they could jet down the road and go to the bottom of
Well, just
Javi
do
as
it,
well.
do it at the bottom of Harvey. Just put
And
one there.
it's the top 10 athletes, and if it just showing splits the top 10. If you're not in the top 10, like do the math. Sorry.
Here's a little bit of the problem. It's our next hot take. The GPS tracking isn't used for real-time splits. Why? Because the GPS tracking isn't working. It hasn't been working all year. And so this has been something that they've been trying to sort out, but the only thing that's been working are the live timing mats. The GPS has been wrong all year.
Talbot's idea also could really genuinely save lives because he knows what we do. So we get to the top of Pilani, see them go out, hop in cars, and we gun it round the North Road. And I will say there was a German with a questionable haircut, husband of one of the very good wives racing, that came past me, honestly, like he was doing Death Race 3000. I was like, we're going to make it, mate. It'll be okay. So putting a big timing board there would mean there isn't this mad rush to go round there to support. It would be a great idea. And it's honestly something Scott would probably do. Because you could have you could have a little, you could put a time mat there and you could show age groupers and it'd be fun for them as well.
Yeah.
And that gives them a reason to do it because it makes it a better experience for the age groupers.
Real quick to the GPS tracking, you're better off just doing more timing mats than doing that. But also, to be clear, a timing mat cost, when it's all said and done, set up, everything, $5,000 per timing mat. So when you open up the Ironman tracker and you start clicking through, just remind yourself, if it's, and do remember, they do a lot of times that it goes all the way across the road. So it could be a bike timing mat, a run timing mat, and a run timing mat times 2. But every time there's a timing mat, it is $5,000. So those do get pricey.
I didn't know that, Talbot. That's a really good snippet.
Yeah.
There's a company that sells them called Insane Impact. We bought some LED trailers, and they can put them up. They come with a generator and everything.
Not Pro Tri News. We haven't bought that, have we?
No. My real job. Sorry, my real job.
Yep. And sorry, the last thing. Ideally, the GPS tracking does eventually work. It just has not worked all year. But ideally, we get it to a point where it does work. They'll
work that out. They'll work that out.
Yeah.
T100 doesn't compare to Kona. Duh.
Yeah, fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the reality.
I think that T100 also has one more bad thing on the horizon. It's the week after 70.3 World Championship is T100 Dubai, and it's like 3 World Championships by Ironman. The week after is the T100.
Yeah, agree.
70.3 World Championship will be better than Kona. Disagree.
I don't think so.
No.
Not with the drama we saw. It had the potential until that.
The buzz around Taylor Knibb and Lucy Charles Barclay's DNF is not cool.
Can I take this one?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think what we had from there was like just 2 iconic moments, given that they were both, at the front of the race. And I think, unfortunately, like their failure on the day just demonstrated like how brutal that island is. And what it's done is it's made a bunch of people that I didn't realize watched the race come to me this week and be like, dude, what was it like on Kona? Like, was it actually that hot? And I'm just like, dude, if you would have seen me before the live show, I put up one Training Peaks banner and my shirt was completely soaked. Right. And so I just think what this did was it created a moment where a bunch of people are talking about this race. And unfortunately, it was on the back of something bad that happened, but it ultimately will build momentum and notoriety for what happens every October in Kona.
I think, unfortunately, it's just the reality of pro sport.
Yeah, it's just...
They're entertainers. That's why they have a job. Like, that is what they do. They sell product to athletes that buy similar products, and they entertain. That's their job.
Yep.
Moving
Start women an hour in front of men or give them their own day.
If you go to Kona, the athletes start their warm-up when it's dark outside, and the second that sun crests that hill, they start the race. You couldn't go an hour before. And then also, too, moving it to a second day, the island will not allow it. Like, it's not even a can we, could we, the island will not allow it. So just...
It's a hypothetically good idea, but in reality, it just doesn't work.
again. And then you say, well, then why don't they just start? Then an hour later they start. It's because then the amateur athletes, the age grouper athletes, have to get off their bike before it's dark outside, and that is like when the sun sets is when the timing expires for them getting off their bike. So it's just unfortunately not a reality. But do love the question. It would be incredible.
Someone checking on someone shouldn't be considered outside assistance or a disqualification.
I think this is too big to talk about. I think we could do a whole episode on this and even bring Taylor on for it.
Mark covered this last week really well.
Yeah, I thought we did. I think there is liability at stake here, as in corporate liability, negligence. The referee's job, Pat and her coach were really close by. They should feel empowered to take care of the athlete and not risk any comeback.
Yeah. And if I could go back in time and change my actions, I wouldn't have waited that 2 minutes.
And there's another one on here
sorry, just to make Pat feel better, but we all totally understand why you hesitated because of the rules.
Yep.
We all
I'm sorry, I want to just expand on this for a second. I think moving forward, and we'll do a longer podcast on this, but in the future, what I would really like is if the people that were credentialed, because we're on, Mark and I are on a list, right? As we're service providers effectively to our athletes. I would love if we had a different colored vest and there were numbers on it of which athletes we were supporting. So in that moment, the official didn't think I was a stranger and they just knew that I was actually tied to that athlete in some way to make that decision on her behalf. And I think ultimately from a safety standpoint, I think that's to me is a realistic way to go forward.
Yeah. Fair. The next one, Solveig winning brings a new influx of short course athletes. I don't agree.
No. Solveig and Lisa Perderer. This is a two-part. For me, this is a two-part because these are two women that, with all due respect, didn't really, weren't amazing at short course. And now at long course, they're absolutely smashing it.
What about
Daniela
Reef? What about
Annie Haag?
Norwegians?
Sure. No, dude. Christian won the Olympics. I mean, Goose. I'm saying that I was saying that specific to some women right now in the sport would be looking at Solveig and Lisa, and they might be in short course and they're sitting there going, "Should I make this jump sooner?"
I think it's whether their strengths are play in the right areas.
Well, of course.
So I think we will see more. I hope we see more, but it won't be the Beth Potters and the Cassandra Beaugrands that will be great. It will be some of the others.
Next one. More athletes need a Reese Barclay.
We covered this last time. Admiration for what he did.
Yep.
That's all.
Taylor may have overbiked at the climb to Javi.
No way.
No.
No. She got so close to the finish line there.
If men raced, the outcome would have been different.
What does that mean?
If men raced on the same day as if the men and women were both racing on the same day, the outcome would have been different.
No. What? I still don't understand. Compared to, I don't get it.
They don't get close. The men swim ahead. They bike away. There is no overlap in that race of the contenders. So the women that catch an age group man are going so much faster. Sorry, pro man that the pro man's had a horrendous day because they had to qualify to be there. So they're all actually really, really good. There's no overlap. It doesn't affect anything.
Races are getting harder and harder to predict.
I think unless it's T100 men's race, we're showing we can't predict shit.
Yeah. Facts.
Lucy Charles Barclay is the greatest long distance athlete of all time. Disagree. Daniela Riff.
Disagree. Daniela Riff. It's not even questionable.
Paula Newby Fraser.
Fraser, yeah.
Oh.
Season over for Lucy Charles Barclay. This was submitted over 3 times. Season over for Lucy and Taylor.
I hope not.
I hope so in a way, but what I hope they do is they focus on health. So I think
to go see a doctor.
I think there should be an ineligibility period. So I think if you go out of a race with a heat injury, there should be a mandated ineligibility period. And then prior to racing, you have to go to one of the specialist centers that identifies heat injuries if you want to race within that period. So you have to burden the cost to go to one of these specialist centres. Athletes won't do it because actually it'll probably show they do have a heat injury of some sort and it risks their career. I think there's just too much liability and health at stake for people.
And you're not saying this as a husband of a competitor?
No. No. I
wouldn't let
Yeah.
Kat race for a while, and she wouldn't race for a while after that. No way.
Yeah. Taylor and Lucy share the same coach that I think is very, very
guy.
good, very, very good at making decisions for those two athletes. So I got all the faith in the world that whatever they do will be well vetted.
Cat cycling isn't there with the best in the world.
That's not true. She wasn't.
Look, she was within seconds of Taylor in Texas. Like it's apparent that she just didn't have the legs.
She didn't have the legs, but she was also the second fastest bike split on the day that finished the race. So yes, she didn't ride
front split of all time.
Yeah, so she didn't ride particularly well. Like she's made that very clear. Power wasn't there, but I think she's had the second fastest bike split in 3 world championships now.
Yeah, I mean, Talbot and I have talked about this with Lionel a million different times. You don't get something for nothing, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like, if you do the bike a little bit slower, guess what? You're probably going to get to run faster, right? Yeah. Right? Like this is just it's a balancing act between those 3 things. It's like, so what we don't know is, maybe if Kat was within 7 minutes of the front, like, do we still think she would have done a 247? Like she would have only needed to do a 251 or 252.
I mean, she probably would because she's a weird little freak, but it's the balance. The balance is exactly.
You guys all got to give your biased opinions. I just want to give mine. I don't think she is, but I also think I don't think her cycling is the ability of Taylor. I think if they did a full time trial, I think Taylor would beat her 10 times out of 10. But I think that she is a smarter athlete and knew her ability on the race day on what it took to get to the finish line and missed the win by 34 seconds. I think that no one could have timed that better. So maybe 34 seconds better, but it's irrelevant to this.
Totally fair, Talbot. Totally fair.
20 meters works for the men, but it doesn't work for the women.
That's not true.
I just don't understand the point.
Yeah. I think it works for both, in my opinion.
By core body temperature stock. Now it's the next big tech to change triathlon.
It's absolute bullshit because it doesn't measure core temperature, it measures skin temperature, and there's so many good studies that show it just doesn't fucking work.
It works, and you can buy it on thefeed.com.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, yeah, absolutely works.
Next one: winners win and losers lose. Yeah, sounds right to me.
Yeah, well done.
You have a chance. You have to be willing to lose Kona in order to win. You're racing the conditions, not your rival.
I think that was proved. I left that race reflecting even on just like the men's race the year before. And I was texting Lionel quite a bit about it afterwards. And it's just, I think for whatever reason, that race is completely different than anything else that they do Ironman wise all year. Think about how different Kona is than Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Kona is its own beast, and you have to be so disciplined in your plan here. And I don't know. There's truth to that.
Why are Kona conditions amplified while races like T100 Singapore are vilified?
It's a really good take because I'm always like, it's a stupid place to have a race. I think people forget the intensity is the killer in heat. So the longer the race isn't necessarily what's the risk. It's actually intensity. And when you're racing over 3 hours, you can really afford to work at a higher heart rate and you can get yourselves into quite dangerous situations quite quickly. I think as well, there's like a necessity for Kona. We're very open. Like, I kind of wish we weren't tied to Kona. I kind of wish we didn't have to always go back to Kona, but we are by the history of the race. Whereas T100 seems to seek out these hot races. And I think in a new age where everything's getting hotter, let's not try and always find hotter races. It's a really fair point. Maybe we should vilify Kona more, but
I'm going to skip down this list real quick. Each athlete should be mandatory to have a temperature check before and after the energy lab by medical. If it's too high, they have to stop.
Anything. People have different body temperatures. It's not that easy. I wish it was that easy because it's a nice idea, but it doesn't work like that.
Aero TT helmets are scams, and no one should buy them.
For amateurs, they say.
Yeah.
Whoever
Isn't that
wrote
like
that,
the cheapest speed you can buy?
pretty much, yeah. If you can sit in position, you have to be able to ride the helmet in
The
position.
Taylor Nibs
but-
431 proved that she could do it in a normal helmet, road helmet.
Yeah, but that was what Pat said. That's a trade-off. She made a trade-off in her head. She knew it was slower, but the cooling effect she thought would give her an overall benefit come the run, and it almost worked out. Let's not forget how close she was. Almost worked out. No, they're much faster. Buy them if you're an amateur, you can afford it, but make sure you can hold the position.
And
Or
get
pick
the
up on
correct one for your head.
Just get Rudy.
We have a new Big Five women for next year. Taylor Knibb, Kat Matthews, Lucy Charles Barclay, LP. I'm assuming Lisa Perder,
No,
Laura
Phillips.
Laura Phillip, and Solveig Lofseth.
I would say there's probably going to be some more as well that you can add to that list. You're still missing Julia Duran. You could add more athletes to that.
Correct. Julia would add. But yes, yeah, fine, whatever.
Don't turn off a broadcast with an hour to go. Yeah.
I mean, this would have been for the Europeans that were watching Kona, right? That thought it was done. And again, it was whatever the evening in Kona, and Magnus woke up and texted me and he goes, "What the hell did I just wake up to?" and I'm like, yeah, that would have changed a bit. So yeah, I think this is again one of the issues with Kona, right? The time slot is just horrible for Europeans watching the race. So
Yeah.
anyway, nothing we can do about it.
Lack of spectators in Kona is bad for the broadcast.
That won't be an issue. Let's hold a pin in that one until next year because it's going to completely change next year.
No pro from Kona will podium at Marbella. Disagree.
No pro. What is it? No pro from Kona?
Yeah, no one from Kona will podium at Marbella.
That's not true.
Are you taking out Lucy and Taylor because they didn't finish Kona? Is that what the thing is here?
No,
also talking about Kat not being able to podium. I think it's multiple people that they're talking about. Solveig, all of them.
It's ridiculous because it's a month turnaround and really hot, but it's just
the thing is, who are they going to swap in, right? So you've got is Kate Woff doing it? 70.3 Worlds?
No, not qualified.
Okay, so who else would take? Who's gonna push them out?
I would love to throw some names, but it would be insulting. Everyone would just laugh.
Yeah, so
there are some really good athletes. There's those like Paula and Matt who's really focused on this. There's some, but
yeah, Paula.
One of them will podium, fact.
Yeah, 100%. Also, Christian and them uploaded that the course is very much like St. George, very hilly, way smoother roads than St. George, with a good descent and all that. So it's going to be fireworks. Great.
TT bike?
Great.
TT bike? Everyone's been messaging
100%.
TT bike or road bike? TT bike or
It's
road bike?
100%. I insinuated it might not be, but it depends which way up and down you go, and you go up the twisty way and down the straightaways. So it's definitely TT bike.
Yeah, and there's a ton of straight roads still.
We got 10 more. Let's bang all these out real quick, and then we can move on. Pro Series should give a bonus to the winner in close finishes.
I think so. I think they should do it every second they miss, that's a point deduction from the top. Oh, wait, they already do that. So never mind.
No. I know what they mean. That is a Solveig fan, which I love because Solveig's great. They want her to get more points back on Kat to make it exciting. But I like the way it is now because it encourages.
They race for every second,
Yeah, it encourages Solveig to push for the finish line. It encourages seconds to chase them down. I think it's
single day race is going to be a backward step. We'll see.
Nah.
I would say no, not at all.
No.
There are some women that feel they get overshadowed by the men, and it's a valid argument. We just don't buy into it.
A single day race will be a backward step for the T100 series when it's single gender events, though. So that is true.
Did the T100 racing this season ruin Lucy's race in Kona? I talked about this early on. Is she's raced more this season than she ever had before, and going into this race, maybe it was the temperature, maybe it was fatigue, maybe it was a combination of all the above.
I think she blew up as much as she got hot, possibly, but Lucy doesn't. Right, if anyone that deserves our respect, that they get to the finish line in Kona is Lucy. The consistency is absolutely mental. So I don't think so.
Lucy had to get off that bike and run a 2:59, and she would have won the race. Taylor Knibb got off the bike, had to run, I believe it was a 3:03 to win the race. They ran scared. That's why they lost the race, not because of prior races.
Next one. Moving on to females can roll down their tri-suits while men can't. We've covered this on the podcast before. The
It's
rule is you have to
ridiculous.
cover your nips, right? So men can do it as long as they have a sports bra?
Well, I think men should have to cover their nips. I'm less fussed about women.
Look it up in the Ironman rule book. That's the rule.
I just
Yeah,
feel
it's a stupid rule. It's a stupid rule.
I'm more blown away, honestly. I cannot imagine running a marathon in a soaking wet suit with a chamois pad. I cannot. I'm shocked that more athletes don't switch out to running kit.
How do you feel about running a marathon anyway?
I feel horrible about it. But if you asked me to do 5K of running in a soaking wet skin suit, I would. I'm chafed already. Just
The
thinking
chamois,
about it.
Pat, the chamois not as bad.
For our listeners, you just need to DM Pat every single day for the next year and say, Pat, we want you to do a triathlon. Just do a sprint triathlon. Do a triathlon with
He's
us.
doing a relay. Oh, fuck, I need to enter. Anyway, so yeah, it's just a daft rule. The main point is this zip has to be done up at the bottom for the men and the women. But if you just roll it down to a sports bra, it's fine. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
So moving on.
that's we'll do a rule.
What does Kat need to do to stop being a bridesmaid?
She has to be a bridesmaid one more time to equal out to Lucy, and then she'll be allowed to win.
No, that's
according to the Kona gods.
Risk a bit more, maybe. I don't know. Let's give them an actual answer, like it's not one of our partners. Like, I don't know, risk a bit, whatever. Like,
She needs to have the legs.
Yeah, there you go.
She's
Dan Lorang's-
demonstrated an immense amount of consistency. It's going to happen.
I think, personally, she always loses it on the run. If she got a better running coach, she could win. But until she switches out a running coach, she will be doomed for second place forever.
Hey, I'm waiting.
Who's her running
Kelly.
coach? Who's her running coach?
As you mentioned it, I am, and I was called out as having the most to lose in Kona. If she failed, my coaching career would be over. So I'm looking forward to the retraction, but
I think anything less than a win for Kat would have been a failure in Kona.
Dan Lorang's coaching reputation is in jeopardy.
Oh, come on. Look at his resume. He had one bad race. I mean, it's basically his only bad race in about 10 years. So I reckon we'll give him one grace race.
Kat never wins a world title.
Oh,
I
maybe.
think we should switch that to how many world titles will Kat win.
Love that, Talbot.
Ooh. Race week makes Kona special, not the race itself. Especially if you were at the Pro Train News live show.
The race week is good for Kona. I know what they mean, but I don't know how you. And some years, like, I could see that comment making sense. But after the race we watched and the absolute carnage, it doesn't make sense this year. So it's a weird time to submit that as a hot take. I know what they mean. Race week's super good, but the race was super good as well.
I don't know. I would strongly stand by that, especially if you're in Kona. There is so much magic going after the race. When you're in Nice, it's just like, oh, race is tomorrow. Oh, cool. Like, oh yeah, they set up a transition.
True,
all right, let's
true,
go.
True.
And in Kona, it is just from the activations to everything. It's just so much fun.
Solveig can win from 8 minutes back, and so can Lionel Sanders.
8 minutes or 6 minutes?
6 minutes.
The problem is that the women don't have the depth. If you're 6 minutes back in the men's race, you're in 25th or whatever, and you're relying on way more carnage than the women. If you're 6 minutes back, you're in third.
Yeah, and
Well,
also,
actually, to be fair, that's a lie because Sam Laidler was 6 minutes ahead on his own. But you know what? You get my point.
yeah,
Also, to back that point, if Kat would have won, her swim deficit would have been pretty much the same as Rennie's when Rennie had her phenomenal run, and her bike deficit would have been more. So you could almost look, and everyone's like, oh, you guys just pumped up Kat this whole thing. her run deficit was how much was she off the bike from Taylor? Was it 13?
It was ridiculous. Yeah,
14 minutes?
14 and a half.
14.
And Rennie's was like 9. So it would have been, but she didn't get it done.
Kona needs a wet bulb test like they do for World Triathlon.
Well, we would never have a race there.
No. But is that true? Because the actual temperature in Kona is
You're right. You're right.
Like I've been to to Hualtuco when the temperature is when it's insanely humid and it's also 99 degrees. I mean, the temperature in Kona really never gets above. I mean, sure, in the afternoon it's 80, but in the morning it's 71. I mean,
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah.
They'd be clear to start the race every single time.
Yeah. Energy
Couple
lab,
things
if they put one down there, it'd be a bit different.
Landing the plane here on the broadcast. Inappropriate things were said about Taylor during her heat incident.
I think that was from one of the new presenters. Yeah.
Also, mixed feelings about Fenella and Greg. Broadcast is tough. I mean,
these are our hot takes. These are listener submitted, so they're not ours.
Yeah.
It was weird to see what the producer. The minute that Fenella cheered for somebody in Javi, the producer should have said, "Stop cheering for people." That was really, really weird to see a host put a mic down and then cheer for people, and you could clearly hear it on the broadcast. It was just you don't see that in any other sport. It shouldn't happen in ours either.
To defend Fenella, whoever at Ironman thought it was a good job that on a World Championship broadcast to throw someone in for her first ever time to commentate an event.
So true.
So dumb. Fenella did do a great job and could have done a better job if she would have had a little bit more training at prior events. We've done commentating ourselves. That was a terrible decision on Ironman's behalf to throw her in at a World Championship for the scrutiny.
Yeah,
but she's worthy of the shot. What we're saying is go to a few other events first.
Yeah, totally.
Playing an AFC video with 5K left in the race is like watching a movie trailer in the middle of a final scene. Awful.
Yep.
I didn't see it, so yeah.
Neither did I, but that sounds bad.
How should they do the broadcast next year? This is a whole topic of conversation that we could talk about on another show.
We can say they have 2 helicopters next year. So they're going to have a lead helicopter for men and women. They have 2 completely separate broadcast teams. They've upped the number of motos and everything on the road, literally doubled it. So they are going to do if they do a bad job, it won't be through lack of investment, is what I will say.
Cool.
They're not skimping.
Yep.
Well, good luck to everyone racing this weekend at 70.3 Brazil Latin American Championship, and thank you for listening to yet another episode of Pro Tri News.
And we would like to introduce our guest, Christian Blumenfeld. Christian, what are your thoughts on the new T100 contract? Here he goes.
It's great for the sport.
Did y'all hear it?
You heard it. You heard it
here first.
And we have received a statement from Lionel Sanders. We messaged him. We said, Lionel, do you think what T100 do is good for the sport? And he replied and said, undoubtedly. So we just want to thank them for coming on the show. Thank you for everyone who submitted a hot take. And with that being said, we'll see you in the next one.